are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 268 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Dylan Larck, on Twitter, here to pregame Auburn at Kentucky, 2-5 Auburn Tigers versus the 3-4 Kentucky Wildcats. The 14th team will host the 15th team in the SEC. Kentucky currently stands as a 2.5-point favorite for a game that's happening Saturday night at 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, in a game that might come down to which team hits double-digit points first, because both these teams have the same strengths and have the same weaknesses. Now, kind of looking at Kentucky as a whole, coming off of a loss to Florida 48-20, where, I kind of said this preseason, where Kentucky could have a very rough season, and it can start off with the fact that they will probably lose to Florida, which I predicted to happen, and it happened in an embarrassing fashion. Now, Auburn, not really anything to brag about either. Has had a slew of embarrassing losses. Of course, starting off last week, let Missouri come back, let Brady Cook come back from beyond the grave to make sure that he takes down the Auburn Tigers. And, of course, can't forget Oklahoma. They missed out on like 8 different players that were out with an injury, and then all of a sudden they're still going to beat Auburn by 6 points. And then Arkansas, of course, that game happened as well. So, a lot of embarrassing games and embarrassing losses between both teams, but Kentucky has had a lot of close calls. I mean, they beat Ole Miss, which is better than what Auburn can say. Auburn has not beaten a conference opponent at all this season. I wanted to say yet. Can't say, though. And, of course, they gave Georgia a run for their money. Now, looking at the stats for this team, go ahead and throw that up there on the screen. Looking at Auburn's defense versus Kentucky's offense. There we go. I'm fixing that. So, Kentucky's offense, pretty bad stat-wise. 121st in college football in the passing yards, 118th in passing touchdowns per game, 78th in rushing yards, and 99th in rush touchdowns. Auburn, middle of the pack around the board, 221 yards per game through the air, which is 76th in the nation. And, of course, 118th on the ground, which is 40th in the country, which I felt like was a little high. Sorry, that's talking about the defense. I was completely blanked on that. So, ranked middle of the pack in defensive category, giving up 118 yards per game on the ground and giving up 221 yards through the air. There we go. Now I'm not sounding so dumb. So, looking at Brock Vandagriff, a quarterback who has thrown 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, has thrown for less yards than Peyton Thorne. And, I think that Kentucky has a lot of good weapons with, Dane Key and Barry and Brown. And kind of just looking at where Kentucky stands this year, I mean, they've been disappointing, especially if you're a Kentucky fan. I think that Kentucky was going into this year expecting more, especially after the Georgia game. I felt like a lot of people probably assumed that Kentucky was a good team, taking Georgia down to the wire, losing only 13-12. But it's just kind of been week after week now where they've just not looked good. I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt 20-13. And they, of course, the Florida loss where they lost by 28 points to a team that, I thought was going to fire their head coach at the end of the year. And a lot of Kentucky fans have kind of shifted their opinions on Stoops. But offensively, Kentucky is just not very good. And Auburn has had a lot of strengths on their defense. I mean, looking at Jalen Crawford and Caleb Harris, somebody blocked, and all true freshmen who have made PFF's all freshman midseason team. You also have guys like DeMarcus Riddick and Kinsley Faustin and Amon Lane and Amaris Williams, who have all gotten in and played very well as just true freshmen. And that's just where I'm starting off with. I mean, you still have guys like Jalen McLeod and Keldrick Fox, Eugene Asante, Austin Keys that have all looked really good. But Auburn has its fair share of weaknesses. I mean, big plays happen against us defense, and, the fourth quarter defense has been terrible. And it often seems like a certain player wearing number 0 tends to get targeted a lot more than most other corners. I'm, of course, talking about Keontae Scott, a guy who has really regressed since last year. It honestly whenever I saw last year, him against Luther Burden, I would have been a little worried, but not as. I wouldn't have been as worried I was when I saw him happen against Missouri. Now, I've heard rumors that he's not taking as many reps with the first team this week, and I mean, I think that works out more in the favor of the young guys. You're going to get more experience for them. I think it works out well for a team that's been struggling offensively. And, of course, your defense has been very good. The defensive line has been very good this year by getting the quarterback. I'm looking at Keldrick Falk, who can get back in the sack totals this week because Brock Vandagriff has been sacked 15 times already this season. So I think this defense is going to shut down Kentucky's offense. But flipping it around to the other side of the ball, Auburn's offense hasn't been something to brag about either. I mean, they're 32nd in passing yards per game, 72nd in rushing yards, and that's kind of the story there is Auburn's inability to continue to run the football. Now, Jarquez Hunter had 19 carries against Missouri, but Missouri has a very good defensive line, and so does Kentucky. It's going to be really hard for this offensive line to kind of get a push and get Jarquez going. And that's kind of where I stand looking at this game. Is it's going to be really hard for Auburn to move the football against Kentucky's defense, who has been giving up 178 yards per game through the air and 104 yards on the ground. And this defense ranks in the top 15 in the country. And Auburn's going to struggle. Offensive line might look new. I think Dylan Wade might be moving to the left tackle because DeAndre Carter has been taking a lot of first-team reps at practices. Wide receivers, I hope to see a lot more of Malcolm Simmons this week. I hope he gets more time in the slot. I need to see a lot more of Cam Coleman, and this offense just needs to find a way to make that extra step that they need. Just something has been off with this offense all year long, and it has been a hard watch. But looking at the stats, I mean, each team, again, they have the same weaknesses and they have the same strengths. The only thing different between these two teams is one is 3-4 and 1-4 in the SEC, and the other one is 2-5 and 0-4 in the SEC. Someone has to win this football game. And I'm looking at it, and man, it's a hard game to predict. Like, we have some tough ones to talk about after the break in a little bit, but yeah, this is a tough game to pick. 2.5 point spread means this game is essentially a pick'ems. Game's in Lexington, and it's going to hurt if I don't pick Auburn in this game. But the defensive edge goes to Kentucky. The offensive edge goes to Auburn, but those two have to play each other. And I just don't know. I want to say that Auburn finally gets over the hump. I want to say Auburn finally gets over the hump. Something has got to give, and I think it happens this week against an equally bad team. But I think you still see the same struggles you've seen all year. I don't think Auburn scores a lot of points. I'm thinking Auburn gets the win. I'm trying to think of what the over-under is 42, which I think is generous. I'll say Auburn wins 21-17. 21-17 is my prediction. I think Auburn gets a few touchdowns. And honestly, I mean, it could come down to field goals too. I mean, Auburn could very well get into the red zone, can't score, and then, Alex McPherson get the chance to go out there and kick them field goals. Yeah, but you know what? I'll changing it real time. I'm going to say Auburn wins 17-10. There we go. That feels better to me. 17-10. Not a lot of points scored. Each team gets a couple of touchdowns. They might all be pick sixes. 4 pick sixes in a game is nothing that should shock anybody with these two teams playing. So 17-10. Official prediction that I'm having for this game. Auburn finally gets the SEC win, and hopefully something sparks in this offense. Something sparks in this locker room and turns it around. You gotta win. We gotta basically win out to go to a bowl game. Essentially, you've got to beat Kentucky. You got to beat Vanderbilt, ULM, then you got to split one with A&M and Alabama. But the thing is, this team is very talented. This team can do it. Just need to do it. So, yeah, Auburn 17, Kentucky 10. Let me know what your prediction is in the comment section below. We'll go to a quick break. Also, this break, we are going to predict my top 10 games of the week. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program.
Of course, that is on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. First page, college loop hat. Second page, Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. And with that, give me 1 second. We're going to pause for a second. And there we go. I forgot to change the background of the pick'ems. But yeah, there's the pick'ems of the week. And of course, check out the merch in thewarreport.com link at the end of the video as well, where you can like, comment, and subscribe as well. Again, leave your predictions for this week as well. Give me your picks for Auburn at Kentucky, as well as what do you think Auburn needs to do to get an upset? Any win right now for Auburn, I feel like is an upset win. ULM would be an upset win to me at this point. But my pick'ems of the week, a lot of great games. And none of them got game day. I didn't even think... I do have game day's game on here. It's stupid. It's a dumb game day, but it's a game day nonetheless. So starting off, 11 a.m. kick, number 12 Notre Dame at number 24 Navy. Notre Dame is a 13-point favorite. And you know what? I'm thinking about picking the upset here because I need Army and Navy to both be undefeated going into their conference championship game to determine which service academy gets to go to the college ball playoff. I need that in my life like oxygen. I'm going to pick Navy in this game. I think they've looked better than Notre Dame as a whole. Haven't had very many close calls outside of the one game against Memphis. Took care of business all year long. Take care of the Fighting Irish. Let's go Navy. Up next, College Game Day's game of the week. Washington, 4-3 Washington travels to Indiana, take on the 7-0 Indiana Hoosiers. I think this game is a pretty easy call. Washington is coming off of a bye week after they lost 40-16 to the Iowa Hawkeyes. And if you give up 40 points to Iowa in any given year, something's wrong. Indiana fresh off of a 56-7 win over Nebraska. I'm taking the Hoosiers. They look legit this year. Look absolutely legit. All right, up next, get into the SEC schedule. Oklahoma travels to Ole Miss. Ole Miss somehow a 20-point favorite. This game is, of course, an 11 a.m. kick on ESPN. I'm taking Ole Miss. They're not going to cover that spread. Watch out for Oklahoma. Could cause an upset there, but I don't think it'll happen. That offense is terrible. I almost said it's almost embarrassing. It is embarrassing that Auburn lost to that team. All right, up next, the worst game of the week. Arkansas travels to play Mississippi State. Arkansas is a 6.5-point favorite. I'm going to rock with the Arkansas Razorbacks in this game, cementing Mississippi State as the worst team in the SEC. And Auburn fans everywhere can exclaim a massive thank you. Up next, Illinois, number 20 team in the country, takes on number 1 Oregon. At 2:30 on CBS, Oregon is a 21.5-point favorite. This game is going to be a very interesting game because Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, only has one loss on the year. Yes, and they lost to Penn State 21-7. I think Oregon wins this game. They're playing their best brand of football right now. They look the part. And, I think Illinois is a good team. It's a quality win if they get the win over Illinois. So, yeah, I'm going to rock with the Ducks on that one. Up next, BYU, number 11 team in the country, takes on UCF in Orlando. UCF is a 2-point favorite. And I think the BYU number 11 team gets the upset over the unranked team spread-wise. I just don't think Gus Malzahn is going to be able to take down this BYU offense that finds ways to win. I don't know if y'all saw that Iowa State game last week, or not Iowa State game, Oklahoma State game last week. They came back in a miracle fashion to get that win. UCF is currently on a 4-game skid. They played close to Iowa State. I just don't think they'll get it done versus BYU. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Cougars on that one. Missouri, number 21 team in the country, will travel to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're a 15 team in the country, which is makes me so happy to say that number 15. Alabama's a 17-point favorite. I expect that to continuously to go up with the Brady Cook being announced as doubtful. If Brady Cook plays, I think Missouri wins this game. And just because I'm so full of spite and hatred towards that team on the other side of the state, I'm going to pick Missouri. Why not? No logic really behind that. Let's go Tigers. We're rooting for the Tigers this week. So, yeah, going to go with Missouri on that one. Up next, another interesting game. Number 5, Texas, is going to travel to Nashville, Tennessee, take on the number 25 Vanderbilt Commodores, who continuously find ways to win football games. Texas got embarrassed by a Georgia team that didn't even really do much to win that game. Not only did they do that, they also embarrassed themselves by throwing trash on the field just to get a call reversed, which is sad, and they don't deserve to win this game. So I'm going to pick Vanderbilt in good conscience. I have a hate pick and a wacky pick, both in the same pick'ems. That's what we offer over here at the College Loop. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Vanderbilt in this game because I think it would be absolutely hilarious for Vanderbilt to complete like the trifecta of, Alabama beat Texas, or Alabama beat Georgia, Georgia beat Texas, Texas lost to Vanderbilt, who beat Alabama, who now makes Vanderbilt better than Georgia. It's like a nice, I don't know what kind of shape that is, but yeah. Go Commodores. Up next, Penn State, number 3 team in the country, travels to Madison, Wisconsin, take on the Badgers. Penn State's a 6.5-point favorite, and I think I'm going to go with Penn State in this game. I think they're just a better team. They're finding a role offensively, and, they've just been playing really good this year. So, yeah, Penn State. Now, the game of the week, the game that ESPN College Game Day should have gone to, because this game is a battle of the top 2 teams in the SEC right now, both undefeated in conference play. Number 8, LSU, travels to College Station, take on number 14, Texas A&M. A&M 2.5-point favorite. And with the factor in that is in College Station, I'm going with A&M. But this game is going to be extremely close. I think I remember back in like 2018, I want to say 2018, 2017, one of those 2 years. I think it was 2018, when A&M and the LSU went to like 7 overtimes. This could happen again. Except new overtime rules, 15 overtimes. Why not? I'm gonna take A&M in this game, but close. Either team can win this game. It could just be at the last second field goal, kick 6 kind of thing kind of happen in this game. It's going to be very, very close. So that's my pick'ems of the week. I got a lot of upsets. Guessing a lot of upsets because I'm expecting a goofy week. I'm 56-24. Not the best. Not the worst, so I'm not too mad about that. So that's going to do it for this time of the College Loop Podcast. Again, let me know what you think about Auburn at Kentucky. Do you think the Tigers have a chance against the Wildcats? Do you think Auburn finally gets it done and gets a win? A much, much needed, much deserved, much and longly awaited for win over the Wildcats. Let me know in the comment section below. But, of course, all that being said, thanks for watching this time of the College Loop Podcast. We'll, of course, be back on the Sunday to react to the game, hopefully talking about an Auburn win, because we over here at the College Loop have been eagerly awaiting the next time we can joyously talk about Auburn football on a live stream. So don't forget to check us out on social media at the College Loop, literally everywhere, and, of course, on social media, on audio version of the show as well on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Also, don't forget to check me out on Twitter at YaBoyTank, at YABOY the Tank, and of course Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLENLARCK. And All that being said, thanks for watching this episode of the College Loop Podcast. And as always, War Eagle.